How's everybody doing today? My name is Daniel Batal. I am here with the OG leader of the YouTube Cosa Nostra, Mr. Roberto Blake.
How's it going, everybody?
We are live at VidCon. We've been attending the VidCon event this entire week. It's been fantastic to get out and actually spend time with some of our fellow creators out there.
Yeah, no, it's been a good time.
Attending some of the conferences that have been going on. I know you've seen a bunch.
Yes.
Who did you check out so far?
So far, I've checked out friends like Justin Moore, Sean Cannell, of course, from Think Media and everything. It's been a lot of good stuff. I've also been introduced to a lot of new creators on some of these talks and panels. Great creator companies, Amazon Live, Kajabi, and of course the team from TubeBuddy.
We were definitely at the TubeBuddy booth saying hello. But in these discussions, we got to learn from so many people. We got to see Todd Beaupre from the YouTube Discovery team sitting with Mr. Beast talking about changes that are going on in the platform, how the algorithm, I hate that word, is.
I love that word.
How that, what the sort of things that people need to understand about it and how to effectively grow on YouTube. So there's a lot of things that are on our plate. Roberto and I have been sitting here talking a lot recently because we've been staying at the same house. Yeah. And we have conversations nightly about the things that have changed in the platform, the things that creators need to be aware of when they're moving into this post-pandemic era of content creating.
That's the big thing. That's the thing that you and I probably talked the most about this entire week is what it means to survive the post-pandemic era of being a creator. A lot of people blew up and grew finally during the pandemic, but now that bump, they're seeing their numbers down, they're seeing ad revenue down, and they're like, looming potential recession. It's like, I think for some people, it'll start to look a little bit like an adpocalypse. Like, there's a lot to talk about.
It is a lot on our plate, and we're going to get to it as much as we can.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, we've been talking about changes to the platform, Roberto. And you and I have had a lot of conversations, but what are some of the things, give us one thing that we know is coming to the platform that might be a little bit different in the upcoming months, weeks, years, that creators that should be aware of now, so we can talk about potentially how to prepare, how to get ready for these changes and maybe take advantage of them by accessing some of those features that might impact those changes.
A lot of changes are coming to creator monetization. You have now gifted subs have rolled out, I believe, to almost every single monetized channel that has memberships active. So that's a really great thing, especially for people who are primarily live streaming or doing live to tape podcasts. So you have that. They are looking at more with shoppable shorts. We've talked about that, but I think the shoppable lives will also be a thing, probably to directly compete with.
Take 1 second, let's break it down so we don't move too fast. So the first thing you talked about is the giftable memberships. So people who have a channel membership, people would normally have to just sign up for whatever tiered structure there is. A lot of you know what channel memberships are. You'll see the join button under someone's channel and they'll get a little deeper access to that creator.
Yes.
But now they're giving creators and other people the ability to gift a membership. Like, I think is it 1 month or can you give multiple months?
I think it's 1 month right now, but I think that they'll be rolling out the multiple months and everything. I'll have to verify that. I have a video that I'm researching to put together on that. So yes, absolutely, you have that. And in general, there's been more promotion of the memberships, and that's actually been taking off and been very lucrative for a lot of creators, especially a lot of people doing the reaction streams now. The legal streamers, our friends over at LawTube, like Emily D. Baker, have been crushing it with memberships. Nice. And I think that the gifted memberships are going to be like a massive boom to creators. A lot of people have been asking for it for a long time, and all monetized creators have super thanks now.
That's fantastic. Super thanks. These are a lot of things. Speaking of the legal department, we'd like to thank our friend Justin over at Jay-Z Helps. Thanks for the $2 super chat. That'll go to good cause because TubeBuddy takes anything that's monetized and they put all of the money they make on the channel, they donate it to charity. They also always put it to a good cause. So Jay-Z, thank you for
Which is not talked about enough, and that's tremendous. So we definitely appreciate anybody who contributes.
So one of the things you were just talking about there, let's talk about the second thing you mentioned was shoppable shorts.
Yeah.
Explain to people what that is, because I think people right now, I have been trying to get people to embrace shorts in a different way, to really start thinking about making shorts that really serve their target audience, but there's a new change coming in the works that they're going to be shoppable. Can you just kind of quickly explain to people what that means?
Do you know, I can do it, and I can also do it by talking about a fellow creator who I love, who's actually one of the only people I feel that it represents being able as an educator to do really great short content. You familiar with Ali Abdaal?
Yes.
Ali Abdaal is great. He formerly is a doctor. He was a doctor during the pandemic in the UK, born in Pakistan, tremendous talent and everything. Very handsome fellow too. And he's very smart, very articulate, and he makes education fun with all the topics. He talks about whether he's helping students study or do productivity stuff. So he was doing a bunch of these like different types of YouTube shorts. It was really cool. And what Shoppable Shorts is, Ali Abdaal, some of his shorts are little growth hacks and things for productivity. Sometimes it's shorts about just some quick things you can buy that would make you more productive. And sometimes it's micro tech reviews like, hey, I bought this new keyboard, click, 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 clack, or hey, I bought the new MacBook Pro. Here's a 60-second review of it if you're thinking of looking at this as someone who's doing work or student or creator who's editing. So think about the fact if you're doing these micro reviews, whether you're doing like a 60-second book review or you're doing 60-second camera review or something like that, imagine that you actually, if anybody buys that thing because of you, you'll get some money for it. That's what the Shoppable Shorts is going to be. It's kind of being an extension of a little bit of affiliate marketing, but here's a catch. YouTube will automatically detect the product and link out to it for the viewers and give them the option to go ahead and buy. And we've seen these shoppable type features in things like Instagram. I believe something like this may even be coming to TikTok, but YouTube, I think, is going to be the people who get it right the most because YouTube has led the charge on creator monetization. Yep. They have the tie-in to shopping with Google, which is why I think they're going to be able to do it. I think it's going to be because if you look at the Google search shopping, I think that's where the integration is going to happen because we've seen the pairing of Google and YouTube more and more and more lately. You look at chapters being, YouTube chapters being put into Google search engine. So with Shoppable Shorts, let's say you make a short and you have like a tech product, or a beauty product. Beauty is going to be a huge category for us. So like, imagine that it's going to be able to detect that makeup kit, that makeup brush. It's going to know the brand and everything because Google has all the data. And then if somebody says, "Oh, I want that," they're going to be able to click and buy.
And they're saying there's been talk about it actually being the sort of thing that sort of pops forward onto your screen, where it literally leaps off of the video towards you. So if you're interested in the product, it's going to jump right out. You can grab it. It's not something that's like a link that's buried somewhere out.
I don't think it'll be. And I don't think it'll be. I think it will also be that, but then also just there will be the probably subtle version too, like almost like the merch shelf. I think the merch shelf is probably one of the early type things that looks similar to that.
Right, with stuff going on underneath.
Yeah, I think that there's that. And the thing is, if they are successful with that, maybe it comes to regular video uploads, and I think it'll come to live shopping too. I've heard YouTube specifically talking. I think I've heard Robert Kinsel, Chief Business Officer, talk about live shopping too. So I think live shorts and Shoppable Shorts and Shoppable Live, I think are two of the biggest innovations we'll see in YouTube monetization. I predict over the next 2 years, we'll go from having 9 monetization streams in YouTube to having up to 12 monetization streams.
That's so. First, speaking of monetization, first of all, Nick Nimmin in the house. How you doing, Nick? It's good to see you, pal. I have to say thanks to Mr. Bill Doobie for dropping the 99-cent super sticker in there. It's all going to go to charity. Thank you so much, my friend. That's one of the things you and I were talking about recently. Is we were talking about changes to the platform. One of the things a lot of people talk about is once you kind of get into YouTube and you're trying to figure out, you get monetized, you're out there trying to make money. There's these two metrics we've always talked about. All CPM's been around for a while.
Yep.
But the new one being RPM that we've learned is
YouTuber take-home pay.
Yep, that's literally what you're making, whether the views were monetized or not monetized. It's the average for every 1,000 views, how much money you can expect to make.
Yeah.
And one of the things we're learning now is that all of these little pieces of the puzzle, memberships, anything that might be shoppable, the super chats, super stickers, all these things are included in your RPM. So when you're thinking about how do I make more money on YouTube, how do I increase my RPM, it's not just the companies that are running ads in and around your videos, it's also how you can effectively move the needle yourself by doing things like going live and getting super chats and getting super stickers and actually starting to sell some stuff along the way and get people to click here and do all these things.
Well, that's the monetization schema for like my podcast, which is done as a live stream via StreamYard, and I multi-stream there. And the multi-streaming capability with StreamYard, and then obviously I optimize on the back end with TubeBuddy and planning all that out and doing the live to tape podcast. It has the most monetization potential, even as a 2,000 sub channel that I do, and I can't wait to actually do it more often, like multiple times a week. But between that and then the simulcasting with StreamYard, I'm actually able to, one, be paid monetization on Facebook Live, but I'm also getting super chats on YouTube Live. I'm getting ad revenue in the replays, and because it's long form content, I'm getting YouTube premium revenue as well.
People forget that all these things add into that RPM that we talk about.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to figure out how to increase that RPM, it's not just about hopefully putting more ads in the center of your video. There's strategy to it. There's strategies that people can take advantage of. And right now we've got shorts that, they do have shorts fun, but it's not, you're not going to make a lot of money from shorts in the short term right now, but we know they're going to figure out more ways like the shoppable shorts to help creators drive revenue in and around that short.
Well, I also think the reason that you don't make as much revenue on shorts right now is because there's not a IAB real standard right now. I mean, yes, TikTok has it, and Snapchat and Instagram stories and reels, they have some vertical video ad placement, but what we haven't gotten to is a standard, Daniel, like how you have banner ads and display ads in YouTube, as well as video ads that are horizontal 16:9. We have had those ad formats for over 15 years now through IAB standards, Internet Advertising Bureau. We don't have a standard for vertical ads yet, and Google doesn't have like an appliance for vertical ads yet, but when that comes, that's when I think creators who do shorts creators will kind of start to be more equal to YouTubers who do regular long form content as advertisers eventually decide to embrace vertical ads and when they have standards for them. Because it's all new, it's all really new. So
yeah, I just think there's a lot of ways that creators right now can start thinking ahead. If we know something like shoppable shorts is coming down the line, and I think that Roberto's absolutely right. If they can do it effectively with shorts, don't be surprised if we start seeing that stuff pop up in other places like live streams. You can think ahead. You can start working on creating better live streams. You can start thinking ahead and start working on a better short strategy.
Yeah.
That can actually implement and help grow your channel. I got to say a quick thanks to Iggy from This Bites For You. Thanks for the $10 super chat. That's going right to charity on the TubeBuddy channel. So thank you very much, Iggy. We appreciate that. One of the things that I saw that is really important, I think that I want to talk about here, because we're talking about the short shelf and some of those features that are coming. The interview of Todd Beaupre, who is the head of discovery over
at
YouTube.
Yeah,
he was interviewing
Todd the algorithm.
Todd
the algorithm Beaupre.
Our pal, man. He's the guy. He's the guy when it comes to working on those teams and all that product, all that recommendation systems.
Yeah, I have a new strategy that is largely based on a conversation I had with him.
Oh, he's so great. But he was talking to Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
And one of the things they were talking about was not only the algorithm and changes and understanding what's going on and how to effectively grow a channel in this modern era, and how things are really optimized for the target audience and trying to find the right viewers and the right videos and putting them together, trying to serve the needs of those viewers and what their interests are. But another thing they talked about was Jimmy, Mr. Beast, had stepped up and he was asked, well, what about shorts? What do you think about shorts? Should you put them on your main channel? Give us some input on what you're thinking about them. Is this a fad? And Mr. Beast had said, he goes, listen, shorts are here to stay.
They are.
They're here to stay, which was point number one that I
How many trillions of views has shorts done?
I forget the actual number, but I think last year alone it was, I'm gonna get the quote wrong, but it was like 50 billion viewers or views on shorts in the last year.
It was over 500. It was over 500 billion. Now it's over the trillion. I forget how much, but it's over the trillion.
Oh, is it over the trillion mark?
Yeah, and actually,
this is why you don't quote me for stats.
Yeah,
I'm no good.
It's over the trillion mark. I don't know by how much, because I think it might be to where it's over 1.5, bordering on 2 now.
I think he was quoting the last year,
Yeah.
but in either case,
Yeah.
what Jimmy said is they're here to stay. So step one, if you're someone who says like, I don't like shorts, or you haven't figured out how to use them, this is the right time to start thinking about if there is a short strategy that makes sense for your channel. The other thing you want to think about is Jimmy had come out and said that a lot of his fellow creatives, a lot of his peers, they compare data all the time, and a lot of his peers are showing him that their longer form content is actually improving from the shorts content being on the channel.
YouTube Shorts tops 5 trillion views and adds more monetization features, quoted from Forbes. 5 trillion.
Is that in the lifetime of shorts? That's where we're at?
Yes.
5 trillion.
Since September of 2020, 5 trillion views shorts, which I think might actually be more in aggregate than TikTok has, even though TikTok's been around longer now.
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
So if you're a YouTube content creator and you've been making that sort of long form content, you and I go back and forth on this. What is your take on YouTube Shorts as, what are some options for strategies for people who might be thinking, I don't even like Shorts. I like turning my phone this way and watching content.
Like I've gotten a reputation as somewhat of a Shorts skeptic, and the thing is, it's only because I'm not all in. And you know that if anything I'm not all in on is where the skepticism comes from. Because what I do think people have a valid concern about is it's evolving so fast and it's changing so fast that by building a strategy around it, they might feel like, oh, I'm building it on shifting sand right now.
Yes.
So the stability aspect of any new product feature on YouTube, I had the same feelings back in the day about live streaming, if you recall. so it's par for the course with me
Yeah,
of
but
like,
who live streams anymore?
we'll get that. But what Shorts, what I do feel is there's obviously you know me, the market decides. I love the market. I let the market decide, the people decide. And clearly with 5 trillion views in just the last 2 to 3 years, there's clearly an appetite and a demand for this vertical video, short form content, something our good friend Shelly Saves the Day probably is very happy about.
Yes.
So vertical video advocate, vertical video queen here. So like, there's a demand for that, but you do have to decide whether or not it's something that you're suited to. But you weren't suited to YouTube when you started anyway. You weren't good on camera when you started anyway. Most of us anyway. So you have to make some shorts and experiment and see if it's for you. The disappointing thing could be the fact that you keep seeing people go viral. You keep seeing the shorts. You have the expectation that's what shorts are supposed to do for you. Even I have that. Like if it underperforms. So my thing is, if that's the case, what you have to do is take it a little bit with a grain of salt and look at it and say, okay, I'm going to give shorts an honest chance. Yes. And just same way I say, and it may not be make 100 crappy videos, make 100 crappy shorts, because I think shorts, you can't sit there and look at them and not put in the effort that you put into a regular video, that you put into a live stream. Shorts require effort, and I think it requires more thoughtfulness, more effort, because you have to deliver right away. You don't have time to screw around. Yeah. So I think that it requires more forethought. I don't think shorts is easier. I think it's more effort to deliver.
I personally think that shorts are harder, and the reason I think they're harder
Shorts are not easy mode.
Let me give you my opinion right off the bat. I've said this many times in conversation with Roberto.
Yeah.
I think that that content is content. And
yes.
I mean that in I mean that in a very 30-foot, view kind of way, where you should be making content that serves a specific target audience. That should be goal number one. Now, if that's a structured piece of edited content that you've made, that's content. If you go live on your channel, that's content. If you are making community tab posts, that's content. If you're using YouTube stories, that's content.
Yes.
The shorts are just another form of content that should still serve the target audience. And the goal here is, a lot of people, have gotten into this headspace where they think shorts don't belong on my regular channel. And I keep saying, well, would you say that live streams don't belong on your regular channel, or community tab posts don't belong on your regular channel, or stories don't belong? You wouldn't do that. I haven't heard anybody say that, but they do say something about shorts because it's new and it's different. It's affecting people in a way where they get a little crazy about it. And I've said to everyone, think about making content like this. If you make a regular video, that say you make a 12-minute video is what you typically make on your channel. If you turn around and say I need to make a short, it's just to try to keep the same conversation. Don't change up and try to do something different. You should be trying to abbreviate what you do and
the value proposition.
Get it into a short piece of content. It's the difference between a paragraph and a sentence. It doesn't mean that one or the other doesn't hold power or doesn't serve the needs of the target audience. It just means on a short, you've got this much time to get it right.
Live is depth, shorts is width, regular videos are balance.
Say that again.
Live is depth,
Yep.
Shorts is width,
Yep.
Regular videos are balance.
100%.
And that's why, so the thing is, disappointment exists in the world between expectation and reality. Mm-hmm. That's where, okay, here's reality, here's expectation, disappointment lives right in between, is the valley in between there. And so the thing is, I think that people, let's say you are blowing up with shorts, mm-hmm. and then you upload a regular video and you're like, okay, I got 100,000 views on shorts. Why am I only getting 5,000 views on a regular video? And the difference is, 15 seconds is a different commitment than 15 minutes. And you have to think about that. And the commitment of a live stream is different. You know what I used to, and other YouTubers too, we used to also have the same feelings we have about shorts. We used to have the same feelings sometimes about live streams, because we'd sit there and we'd get a certain amount of views on a regular video, and then we'd have less views on a live stream. And in our head, we're thinking of them as just videos, but we're not parsing that there's a different value to the audience and there's a different experience for the audience of those things. Yeah. So that experience should shift the goalpost of your expectations and you should give it its own set. It belongs in its, that's why I'm glad YouTube broke it out in analytics in your dashboard.
The single best thing that happened, I think, recently is that YouTube now has a content tab in your analytics where you can click on it and it'll say your videos, your live streams, your shorts, your posts, and you can actually look at each one separately and see where they're moving the needle for your channel instead of the old school aggregate where it gave you sort of an overall view and then you had to dive in and look at things.
Yeah,
it's
helping
right
you
there.
Compartmentalize, and that I think psychologically helps a creator. I think emotionally it helps a creator start to compartmentalize content, because that's why I think you should compartmentalize your content. Your short strategy is not your VOD strategy, and your VOD strategy is not your live stream strategy, and it's certainly not your post strategy in the community tab. You should be thinking of them. Yes, that's why it's a content tab now, not a videos tab. It's a content tab because these are all different content experiences you're creating for your viewer, and you should also again be thinking of these things based on their own unique features, their own unique quirks, their own unique experiences, and the value that they give. The thing that's consistent, in my opinion, should be the value proposition. I think your value proposition should be what's consistent, not your format.
100%. And if anyone doesn't understand, when we say your value proposition, real simple. People should be able to, no matter what kind of content you make, in an instant, it's the 3 W's. People should know in an instant what your channel's about, who the target audience is, and why, the 3 W's, why they would want to watch your content as opposed to anything else they might be served in a given watch session, which can be completely different content than you make. So if you can simplify that and someone sees your content and immediately goes, I know what this is, I know the kind of audience that would be interested in it, and I know why they would want to watch it. If you can do that effectively, that changes everything. Every one of your pieces of content, you should always ask yourself, does this meet my value proposition? On my channel, I help people learn how to edit better videos, put them onto YouTube, and grow a YouTube channel. So when I make a short, it should be doing that thing. It should be showing them how to edit better videos or how to get it onto YouTube and grow a channel. I shouldn't be out there randomly doing something that makes no sense to my actual value proposition. If I'm out there dancing, or if I'm out there being goofy or doing something silly, and it doesn't have anything to do with editing or any portion of the YouTube growth process, don't make that short. It's as simple as that. Don't make that short. One other thing I want to add, I think sometimes people think that shorts you have to go all in and put up a short every single day. That's a strategy.
That's the difference. I think that's the difference between YouTube and TikTok.
Yeah, you can add shorts into your regular scheduled content and do one a month if you decide. Where it makes sense, add one in and say, let's see if this moves the needle. For me, I've been able to take short form content. Like a perfect example was this. I had a video that taught a specific editing technique. The software I was using, they added a new feature during an update. It allowed me to expand upon that technique. So I made a short saying, hey, you can do this one extra thing, and showed it. And then I said, if you want to learn the whole technique, I'll put the link down below. And at the end of a short, when a short is only 30 seconds long, or they have to be under 60, but if you can get them short and digestible, what happens is you can have over 90% retention at the end of a short. You now have a captive. Wouldn't you love to have 90% retention at the end of a 10-minute video? You have a captive audience that you can then say, hey, I'll put a link down below. Those shorts for me have become the highest suggesting videos to my other content, outperforming any other video suggesting to that funnel than anything on the platform and anything else on my channel. And I've got videos on my channel that have over 2 million views. You'd think those ones would be the recommending video. I can beat it with a short with 10,000 views.
I feel like, okay, so someone like me, I haven't done this yet, but because again, I think shorts require a lot more effort than people give them credit for. My plan is to make a video that a short can help drive traffic to, and therefore create that binge loop session thing that Mr. Beast and Todd talk about. So for me, something I want to go back to in my roots and something that helps is, I mean, look at the great live streaming setup and everything we have here. A lot of creators, especially getting started today, they know nothing about lighting, they know nothing about gear, they know nothing about camera settings, and a lot of the information is good, but it's outdated. So what if I make a new, fresh video and also recommend some gear and budget gear and things that are available today, affiliate links, and that's a regular video. So then my short strategy then becomes, I could make multiple shorts that are very specific things like, okay, here are the 3 things you need to know for your camera real quick, and shorts. And if you want to know everything about setting up a YouTube setup, click on this next video down below. And then that creates a funnel on a quick, simple to digest. Oh, that helped me out as quick as possible. Oh, now if I want to go deeper, so that's reaches a broad audience, siphons the right amount of that broad audience of people who want to go deeper. That's why I said width, and then depth, and then so like you have that, or a balance of that of, okay, next level deep, and then somebody watches that, you know, VOD, they might be somebody who then shows up when they see, oh, I'm subscribed to Roberto. Now I'm getting a notification, oh, Roberto is doing a live like shopping experience, helping you pick out the right camera lens and buy the right thing for your budget. And he's answering questions and he's bringing people on and he does a call-in show. So you can see how you can have this strategy of the shorts can be a funnel to a VOD, and maybe your VOD gets people deeper into your ecosystem. Maybe they become a channel member and they're part of an exclusive thing or an exclusive live stream, community thing. You know, you have to think about YouTube holistically, in my opinion, to grow, and how each of these things can serve your audience or serve other content, or how they can loop back together. Even with a live stream, you can shout out and link descriptions to specific videos that answer a question that happened in the chat.
Yep.
So there's like, so then you're using this ecosystem together.
YouTube
ecosystem, yeah.
I think that's one of the things that creators need to really think about in this day and age. If you're really thinking about creating strategies to grow your channel more effectively, you got to get out of that comfort zone of the thing you're doing. If you think, because a lot of times I'll talk to creators and I'll say, you know, explain to me what it is you're doing. And they'll say, you know, I make these videos and I do this, and this is how I do it. And I say, have you tried something else? And they'll say to me, no, that doesn't work on my channel. And I'll say, well, have you really given any effort? No, I just know what my audience wants. And they've almost presupposed what won't work and lock themselves into a situation of how their workflow and their construct goes.
I've done that.
Without ever really reaching out and saying, well, wait a minute, let me give this an honest effort. You know, I think sometimes people will make one short that, to be honest, isn't a great short.
Yeah.
It doesn't effectively serve their needs.
It's the same
and then
thing
they'll make a judgment. They'll say, well, shorts don't work on my channel.
It's the same thing as making those first 2 videos and then saying, oh, I don't have the personality for YouTube.
Right.
It's the same thing as making that first 2, 3, 5 videos and I didn't blow up like so-and-so. Oh, I don't have the personality for YouTube. I can't grow. I mean, I'll tell you 4 things. Here are the 4 things any creator actually has to be intentional about to grow. And every big YouTuber does this, whether they realize it or not. Every big YouTuber does this. There's only 4 things anybody does to be successful on YouTube. They plan, they produce, they publish, and they promote. And you have to really think about all those things. You have to plan a video. No successful YouTuber that you like, none of your favorite YouTubers are saying they're spending $10,000 on a video that they didn't have a plan for. No one is actually growing on random content just because you don't see the plan and you don't see the vision. Doesn't mean there is one. There is no such thing as being successful on YouTube with random content. There's a plan there. No one spends $500, $5,000 on a video they didn't plan. Nobody spends 20, 30, 40 hours editing a video they didn't plan. They have a plan. Okay, so it's not random. It's not, I just feel like making a video today. You don't succeed on YouTube that way. You have to produce quality content that fulfills the needs, desires, likes, or interest of an audience. You have to publish, and that is things like getting timing right, getting thumbnails, getting packaging, you know, knowing, okay, this is a good time to put out the video, or, oh, you know what, maybe I'm not putting out this video today when there's a catastrophe. Like maybe I'm doing, or, you know, oh, just because I finished the video at midnight doesn't mean I release at midnight.
You know what, it was, you know, when you're sitting, because I don't mean to interrupt you, but on that point, that was one of the things that Mr. Beast and Todd Beaupre talked about, was like simple changes to the way you produce. Like one of the things they were mentioning was timing of a video. Listen, in the long-term lifespan of an effective video, does it really matter when you dropped it? Probably not. A good video that really is strong will usually find its audience. But that being said, you know, there's things that are going on. There's school is about, you know, is just ended. So we just saw a bunch of kids. You see a big influx of people who were maybe not around during the day to watch videos. Weekends tended to be better, but now we go into the summer months, and Mr. B said, you know, we usually drop on Saturday, but come the summer, every day's a Saturday.
Ding, 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 ding,
like,
ding.
Think about those things. Like, don't be afraid to try something different. Even though you always publish on the weekends, think about, well, now if my audience tends to be, you know, maybe my audience is, you know, 13 to, you know, and up, you might have a good swath of audience who's been in school all day.
Yeah, remember why I told you is my rule for publishing a video?
Tell me.
It's the AAA rule.
The AAA.
Is your audience awake, aware, and available?
Yep.
Yeah, so like...
Well, that's why you don't drop a video at midnight if you're trying to reach a U.S. audience that's a bunch of like,
Where
homeowners.
Exactly.
They're all asleep. They're all, they're probably going to get up and go to work. So try to drop a video
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And if your audience is kids, you don't drop it while they're at school. They're not available and they're not aware of what's going on. Like, so you have to, and so those things all matter. Those things all matter. And even in driving awareness and everything like that, there's things like prep and everything like that. Like a live stream, giving your audience a heads up and making them aware by scheduling in advance means that they know to be available for that, or they know to wake up early or stay up late or whatever, so like you're creating that situation. Same thing with premiering a video. If it's a big video and you want to do it as a premiere and you want, so like you have that. And so that's in like publishing is a big deal. And then also in publishing, we talk about topic, title, thumbnail. That goes back to, that's also in planning. That's also in timing. And again, that's also part of planning too. And then in terms of promoting, how do I promote my channel? How do I promote my videos? How do I promote? Well, I think it's rooted in the content. When you had a plan, did you make a plan to make a video that'll be easy for you to promote? Do you have a plan to produce a video that has a shareable moment that someone will say, oh, I'm sending that to everybody in my DM group, or hey, I'm getting everybody after work and we're gonna sit there, I gotta show them this and we're gonna watch it on the big screen. Where like you have to have a plan to promote. You have to have a plan to produce a video that has a moment in it, that moment is the highlight that is promote, that sells it, that's the money shot that sells it. And that's why I think a lot of people are not doing is they're not being intentional about their content. Their content is all derived from what they feel versus what they've observed, and measure that can be effective to give value to the viewer. Well, there's one of the things, one of the things I always do when you talk about creating a video and being prepared to drop that video. There are times, there are little subtle things that you can be aware of, like community tab posts. If you plan on using an image, the default aspect ratio is a 1:1. So grabbing a thumbnail that you might have and using it in a post is going to get cropped awkwardly. So if you're making a thumbnail for something, you take a moment to make a 1:1 version of it. So when you post it as a community post, you actually have an image that's visible. Do you know that's why I actually partly moved away from using text in my thumbnails?
You can scale it.
Mm-hmm. I actually design my thumbnails now with a 1:1 ratio built in. I'm absurd. I'm obsessed with this thing, the whole thing.
Well, that's one of the things we talk about this all the time. You and I strategize all the time. Like if I'm going to I always test out everything, because with things like community tab posts, if you are promoting an upcoming live stream, you could choose to put the link and have it show up in community tab and say, hey, just letting you guys know we are going live, tomorrow. I'm giving you some advance notice. Set your reminder here. But you may want to try, well, maybe I don't want to do that. I'd like to have the image, so when it comes up on someone's feed, I want to see not just another video link. I want that big 1:1 colorful thumbnail that I made. So you make it 1:1.
Or somebody,
you put it there, and then you put the link in.
Or some people take the extra step and they go ahead and they make a GIF for that. And here's the other thing.
It's moving.
Some people, and here's what some people do. Some people are really intentional. You want a real intentional hack? You can go ahead and get into film your stuff, do your thing, go in Giphy, and you can make yourself 3 or 5 different variations of how to promote something. Like if the link is actually going to sit above where that image is and everything, you could make your own custom Giphy thing that's like you doing, and that could be one of them. Another version of that could be or another one of that could be you could do your own thing so that you have this really thing that shows, and because you have 5 of them, you can go through the rotation, and it's always interesting. And and so you have things like that. You don't have to make a custom one for every video, but by having those on deck, you can promote anything.
And you can promote anywhere, because now you can go to other platforms
Scale.
and you have all the different things you can use and push people back and say this is coming up. I think that these are the kind of things that creators
that's a hack.
Get yourself, build promotion around something you're going to do, and build it in a way that it's usable on multiple different platforms. Even if the thing you're doing is hosted on YouTube, use other platforms to drive awareness. You're the one who has said more than anyone loudly,
platform agnostic.
Platform agnostic. Start building communities elsewhere. And it's not always going to be about taking your YouTube video and then using Twitter to go, come watch my video. I think a lot of the coaching clients I have in my battalion memberships group, they're doing things like taking their YouTube videos and doing slight modifications to make sure they make sense for other platforms, and doing things like uploading them to Facebook and having massive success.
Oh my God. And they're getting the bag too.
And there's much more advertising money on Facebook than there is on
Well,
YouTube.
you know what the other thing is? There's less people competing for it.
Yes. Well, it's kind of the Wild West there, right?
Yeah.
So-
Oh my God, is it the Wild West? And then even with me, I do very well in my community, and I love all of you supporting me when I do YouTube live streams. But I also simulcast using StreamYard to Facebook, and why? Because Facebook literally pays me by the for every 10 hours they give me $500 for 10 hours of accomplished live streaming. Wow. So that's tremendous. It's like I literally know that I'm going to make $50 an hour live streaming with Facebook. I'm not turning it down. Like I'm not turning it down. Those are pretty good wages. I'm not going to turn it down.
I like Shelley's comment. She calls it platform
polygamy. Yeah. It's like, hey, platforms ain't loyal.
I don't see no YouTube ring on this finger.
It's like hey, YouTube. It's like, look, I'm eligible and everything, buy expensive. So high maintenance over here.
So listen. We're kind of going down a rabbit hole here. What are some actionable tips? Because we talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
You know, there was the pandemic hit. A lot of creators were locked at home. Some people thrived in it. Some people wrestled with it. But one thing that thrived completely was the YouTube platform. There's companies like Netflix weren't putting out movies anymore. The major movie studios shut down. So people were thirsting to try to find some form of entertainment, and YouTube surged. But now we're starting to see the platform
inversion
level off a bit, right? It doesn't mean that it's not still active, but it's leveling off. And I think some creators got a little worried, like you said the other day, like they came in during the pandemic.
This is all they've known.
And they've known highs, and they start seeing the lows, and they think they've done something wrong because they haven't lived it long enough to see the ups
exactly.
and downs.
So the main thing is, like, don't be reactive. Don't get too comfortable, but don't be reactive either, and everything like that. And take a step back. Objectively look at things. Don't take the emotion out of it. Don't go to I'm doing something wrong because the numbers are, like, the first thing YouTubers do is they go, my numbers are bad, I'm doing something wrong. Or they look at my numbers are bad. It's like, no, it's like, this is down. Say, like, you know what, I grew and I blew up. That's not all, like, why would that be sustainable when the world has changed and it's not the way it was when I started? If the world is not the way you were when you start, the world's not static, the world's always changing. Always in motion, the future is, as Yoda would say.
Yep.
It's like, so if that's the case and it's always a moving target, why do you have expectations of everything being the same? The world is not always going to be the same, not day to day, not month to month, not week to week, just because you had this window of time where you had this experience. Because, by the way, those of us who've been creators, we all know about the December bump, the November-December bump, that Q4 bump,
that always goes
and that
up,
Q1 slump.
Goes right down.
Q4 bump, Q1 slump. We know it.
It's almost like January 1st. You could feel the floor
all
fall.
the YouTubers go on vacation in January, which, by the way, the new YouTubers should just surge in January since all the OG established people abandon the platform and go on vacation because they're like, oh, my ad revenue's going to be down, I'm going to come post. It's your opportunity. It's like new YouTubers just slide right in there. But so that's also a tactic. But like, I love what Ryan Trahan is doing because a lot of people don't realize it, and it's subtle. Ryan Trahan is a tremendous creator. Right now, everyone's focused on his big daily series around Mr. Beast, but when he's not doing that, it's about seasonal content and series. And so the thing is, it's about making these bingeable content sessions and then taking some time off and then bringing in the new idea. Because I don't think you have to. We always talk about consistency a lot, but consistency is a lot of things. You don't always have to be I upload once a week, I upload twice a week, I upload Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I upload Tuesday, Thursday. That's a strategy, but it's not the only one. And a good strategy you could use, and then there's some tactics that could go with this, is you saw how, like, we talked about Netflix, we talked about Disney and everything like that. I like the idea of these limited run series like Obi-Wan that are like 6 episodes. So imagine you get to a theme or a topic and you do 6 episodes and you do those and you release them, and they don't have to be 6 back to back in a day, but whatever it is, even for the month. And then that's your focus. And then you move on to another thing that your audience would want, or that a audience would want, or that anyone can watch, or that fits your value proposition, whatever that looks like. But it lets you play around with things. So now, for all of you who are like, oh, I don't want to niche down, I'm going to feel bored. It's like, if you make an idea and you make a series, you can now still be within a value proposition or a focus, and you're not making random content, but you're intentionally making a different series that could be interesting, and you know who you're making it for, and you can do this, and this lets you keep your ideas fresh and move on, but it also creates this bingeable content, because maybe someone comes in at video 4, and then I can go back and watch video 1, video 2, video 3, and in the same value prop is the same thing I like to click on. Oh, I just didn't know about 1, 2, 3, 4,
Right.
5, 6, and oh, I can go back and watch it again. And if it's evergreen, you're gonna be able to milk this over and over and over. And this is why Ryan Trahan's been able to go to from 1 million, he's almost at 10 million. And people don't realize it's also storytelling. He's not making this expensive, extravagant content like Mr. Beast. Everyone says he's next Mr. Beast. I think he's the next Casey Neistat in the sense that
Is he the one that's doing the bring the
penny to
across
Mr. Beast. Yeah, storytelling. I think he will be
that quick explanation. So he took a penny and he said he's going to bring that across the coast to the other side of the United States to give it to Mr. Beast. But he has that penny is all he's going to use for the funds to get him there. So what can he get for a penny? Then he takes whatever he can get for a penny, trade it. He's trading up and trading up. The whole journey is paid for.
Well, you give me a pack of bottled waters for a penny. It's like, cool. All right, great. Now I'm going to hustle. I'm going to sell these bottled waters for like $2 a piece.
He didn't trade a penny for like a pen. And then he traded a pen for something else. And he did. And he got to the point where then he got waters. Then he started selling waters out on the beach.
Yeah.
And then he also had to pay for a whole. It's a great story, but it's simple, it's effective, and it sets the viewer up for wanting to come down the journey.
And there's stakes.
See what's the stake?
What will he do next? How will he make money? What
if he doesn't have to make it? What if he spends all his money and nobody buys the water and now he's sleeping out on the streets tonight?
And then he has this other thing where if you donate enough money to charity to feed America, like if you donate enough money to charity, he has to start over, empty out the funds he's accumulated up to now and start with a penny again.
Well, that was the thing, right? Because this whole thing is a charitable event. It's all driving awareness.
They've done over $1 million in donations, and it's going to help feed a lot of people in this country during a difficult time.
That's amazing. Oh, speaking of donations, we'd like to thank Mastering Mayhem, your best advice or best source on how to understand analytics and adapt content from that info. I'm making a lot of content. I'd like to make less content, but get more views. Thank you for the $10 super chat. That's going to go directly to charity, so thank you for that.
You can go into your analytics and you can identify what things perform the best in views, in click-through rate, and don't look at the raw views. Look at the impressions and click-through rate and kind of come up and look at that like a ratio there. And it won't always just look like the actual CTR number. You might need to crunch some numbers manually if you really want to do this and see, okay, here's how many impressions I got. So maybe sometimes you don't just make the videos that got the most views, you make the videos that got the most impressions, the most reach from YouTube, and then you get more effective at improving the click-through rate by looking at because all right, the topic got a lot more reach than the other topics, but was the thumbnail less effective than the other things and got a lower click-through rate? So now, if I improve the title and the thumbnail on a topic that got the most reach, I have the most potential for views. So don't just go, oh, I'm just gonna go and make all the content that got the most views sometimes. Look at the reach.
Right.
And then what you need to improve is the response. Because as Nick Nimmin will constantly tell you and everything, YouTube is a response game. And I go, okay, it's not about reach, it's about response. So improve your response. Don't assume YouTube's not giving you reach. Measure how much reach YouTube's giving you and then work on response. Get people to respond to the thing. You were given the opportunity, but you didn't get the click-through, you didn't get the follow-through. So the opportunity was there, you weren't effective. So let's improve your effectivity. Let's instead of, like you can measure reach, you can go into YouTube Analytics, go into your impressions, go into advanced mode, find what is getting the most reach, the most opportunity, and then say, I'm going to now get a better response on the most opportunity. Right. Instead of assuming that, oh, I'm just gonna make what got the most views. Look at what YouTube was really pushing out there, really pushing out there.
You said this the other day, and it was really important. You said, if you have something that does really, really well, don't necessarily chase that one viral video you had of that. And by viral, we mean one outlier
or one that
did really
did
well
better than the rest.
Right. It doesn't mean it had to be the biggest video on YouTube, but for you, it was a really strong video.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily chase that and go, that's the new yardstick. I gotta do that many views. That happens.
Don't live in the shadow of your best video.
Of your own self, right?
Yeah.
Just keep making strong content. But one important thing we were talking about earlier that came up in chat as well is the grouping feature.
Yes.
If you go into your analytics.
Thank you for that. I think that was Chantel or Shelly.
Shelly we were all talking about. Shelly mentioned it too. The grouping feature, really important. If you go into your analytics, you can start taking videos. If you have different sort of buckets that fall under your value prop.
Yes.
Like say,
like me or you, yeah.
Right. Like someone like me, I teach people how to make video content, put it onto YouTube, and grow a YouTube channel. There's sort of different buckets under there where some of it might get a little more granular with the video editing process. Some of it might get a little more granular where it looks at other people's styles and understanding how they edit. You can separate that content, put it into groups in your analytics, and when you pull up that group, it'll only show you the metrics for that content, and then you can compare groups. You actually have the option to have YouTube compare the data, and it can put them side by side and see which is performing more. And then you can start understanding, instead of one video, chasing one video, you can start looking at the buckets or pillars in your value prop and understand which of those buckets or pillars is actually driving whichever metric you're looking to do. If that's revenue, you're saying these ones make the most money. If I want to do better for revenue, I'm going to lean on these a little harder. If I want to drive more subscribers, these ones seem to do well for conversion. If I'm trying to just physically drive more views, I'm trying to get my view count up. I want to get my content in front of more eyeballs. We really mean impressions. Please listen to what he said. Impressions are what you're trying to grow. That means it's getting pushed out in front of a lot of people.
Yes.
But then you can look and see, well, which of my content is getting the most impressions? Where is it getting served out the widest? And then you can double down on that content, and that's exactly what I think you were asking, Mastering Mayhem.
Yeah,
really
topics.
about that.
Yeah, topics are reach, titles, thumbnails, and timing or response.
Yes.
So when you know that, you know how to focus and prioritize and what to think about. Because, like I said, identifying thumbnail styles that have been affected and unique aspects of thumbnail styles, that improves click-through rate. But the thing is, a higher click-through rate is great. But if it's a higher click-through rate and you got less reach, there's a cap on your views. So if something has more reach, but even if it has a lower click-through rate, you might get more views out of it because it's a smaller percentage of such a much bigger pie.
Right. Hey, shout out to our friend Stanley Orchard out there. Hey, gentlemen, you're looking great, looking sharp today. Got you up on the big screen down at VidCon. Hey, hope you're staying out of trouble down there, Stanley.
Yeah.
It was really nice getting to talk to you the other day.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're here on the TubeBuddy channel. We'd like to thank them for letting us come on and stream directly live here from this event in the comfort of our own kitchen, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Our borrowed kitchen.
Yeah, our kitchen for the week.
Yeah.
And I want to thank all of you guys for hanging out and joining into this chat with us. And we have to thank everyone who's been dropping super chats along the way. I'd like to thank Arini's Legacy, who dropped you tell me the value of that, 25 super chat. So who asked this question? I've changed my niche from I kind of say it.
MMORPG.
To indie game. This is your wheelhouse.
Okay.
In how much time will YouTube recommend me for this? Now my impressions are still from the previous videos.
So that it's like, well, YouTube is already recommending you for this. You have impressions in your analytics and data, so you can see it being recommended. So again, your issue is not, oh, YouTube is suppressing my reach. You can verify that. If it's 0, then it is. If it's very, 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 very low, then it is. But you can verify that, and the odds are against the idea that YouTube is not giving you reach. So it's now you're not getting the click-through rate and response. That means that there's something you have to change, because whatever strategies you were using for MMORPGs are not the strategies that will be as effective with an indie gaming audience, because just because they're gamers doesn't make them the same. Indie gamers are not the same thing as first-person shooter gamers like me, who plays like Overwatch or something like that. Or they're not fighting people who play Tekken and play Dead or Alive and Street Fighter and so on and so forth. So it's a different, there are different tactics that work. In that gaming, you could look at overview and say strategy can be similar across the board, across gaming niches, but tactically the details do matter, and that's where the problem with your response is. So go in your analytics, Arini's Legacy, go in your analytics, and you'll see that it's not that YouTube is suppressing you on impressions. You're not being effective on click-through rate if you want to get more views.
Well, stay there for 1 second, because I think sometimes people get confused, and I don't think that he said that didn't infer that he's getting suppressed, but he's saying,
I'm just putting that out there for anyone who thinks that.
But the question is, a valid point. But I think the question is
how long?
Which is like, when will they start recommending my content?
You're more effective.
This is exactly what you need to understand. The AI, the algorithm is going to follow the audience. When Roberto said, you've got impressions, go in and look at that content. I don't care if it's 100 impressions. That's YouTube putting your content in front of what it thinks is the right target audience based on what it knows about your content.
Do you want me to tell?
Right?
Do you want?
But wait, let me finish this one point.
Yeah.
What you need to remember is, if those people don't react, YouTube is going to stop pushing that out. So instead of thinking, when will they push it out more? When I get recommended more? What you need to be focusing on is the places where it is recommending and pushing it out. How do I get those people to click and watch? And those are things where you can effectively think about is my content, does it look good from the outside? Does it have curb appeal? Do you have strong thumbnails? Do you have great compelling titles that make it easy for the viewer to understand this is something I would want to watch for that target audience? Then once they're inside, curb appeal is not enough. If you're looking to buy a house and it's got a nice front yard and the lawn is manicured and everything's painted perfectly, and you open the front door and the ceiling is collapsing, the floor is buckling, that's what it's like when once people have clicked and get inside your video. That's just as important. People will turn around and walk out of that house if it's not as good on the inside
as it is on the outside. And that's why there are a lot of things that matter. There's a lot of things that matter in that. And what you have to do is you have to stop your 30-second drop-off rate. You have to absolutely be obsessed with the first 30 seconds of your video, reaffirm the value proposition that I clicked on so I know it's not clickbait, and get right into it and deliver some value. That's why I'm telling people like to cut their video intros if they're not a podcast. Look at doing something like hooks and cold opens and everything and jump right into the video. That's what's the point.
Content. None of this. Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't been, I made a comment recently where I talked about people who ask too much. I won't use the word. Yeah. But it's literally, if you spend the beginning of your video saying, thank you for coming. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Oh, and I do have a Patreon account that you might, don't do any of that.
Me and Nick Nimmin made a video about mistakes where we literally made fun of that in the intro. And we said, that's exactly, like we did all the things you're not supposed to do in the intro. And then we said, that's exactly what you're not supposed to do. And then,
same thing at the end too. When you think about the end of your content, the idea on YouTube is you're trying to get people to watch more of your content.
All I do is tell them what video and what playlist to watch.
Yes, when you wrap it up, I think that's the best strategy for the end of the video. If you're really trying to grow your channel faster, don't be asking for please subscribe, please like. Those are good engagement metrics, and I think along the way, I have no problem. If you have a lower third that pops up and it says, hey, don't forget to subscribe. But at the end of the video, the single most important thing you should be doing with a viewer who's watched your video, watched your content, is get them to watch another piece of content. Push them towards something that's relevant and has decent performance metrics that might intrigue that viewer to go, oh, that was good. Oh, that looks interesting too. Very simple. End cards, end screens, cards, links down in the description, links in the pinned comment, ways to funnel the viewer towards more content. Because when someone's watching your video, what is YouTube doing the whole time? Showing videos down the sidebar, putting one at the end and the up next.
I'm going to tell you.
You've got to start thinking like
I'm going to tell you exactly how to get YouTube. I'm going to tell you, this is even the title of the video. I'm going to tell you exactly how to get YouTube to recommend your videos. One of the first things you need to do is, if you want YouTube to recommend your videos, is you need to reduce that 30-second drop-off in your video at all costs. You need to improve the retention rate of your videos at the very beginning in that 30 seconds. You also need to improve the completion rate of your videos at the end. Get less people to drop off at the beginning, get more people to watch a video all the way to the end, and YouTube will recommend your videos. That is it. That is it. The end.
That is the in and out of it. If you can do that effectively,
now how do I do that? Is the
this is exactly the kind of thing. We were hearing people really get wrapped up recently in things like, well, we've talked about chaptering. There's now the replay graph that's showing up on videos, and we're seeing creators get really confused.
Well, those are those shareable moments. Yeah. That's not hurting them. I'm actually seeing the opposite. People think it's hurting them. It's working out because it's like there's a place there to rewatch, because like going to that, just skip. People think, oh, you're just gonna skip to that. It's like there's no value in skipping to that moment by itself without the context of what before, because it's like that's stupid. That's like walking into the middle of a movie. No one does that.
The most confused part of the replay graph, and some of you may know what we're talking about, but now you can scroll through a video and you'll see like a little graph that populates right above the timeline. That is a replay graph, and what people don't understand is, in theory, every single person represented in that graph could have watched the entire video.
Exactly.
It's not a retention graph. It shows you where people stopped, rewound, and watched a section again.
Yeah.
It's a replay graph.
But by the way, almost no viewer actually uses it.
But you know what it's good for?
Yeah.
If it's your own. Now, first of all, it doesn't even start populating until your video. We've been testing out. It seems somewhere over 50,000 views, maybe in the 80,000 view range. We started seeing it show up.
I've seen it on some videos that have a little less.
But in general, we've been finding it less frequent in smaller videos. So these are videos, and now for some of you, 80,000 views might be not many, and for some of you, it might be a lot. So
It's a lot for me.
Don't freak out if your 2,000 view video doesn't have a graph, or that a graph might show up and hurt your video. But what we can learn from it is we can actually use that graph and look at where are people stopping instantly and rewinding. And I can find areas where people stopped and rewound and watched it again. You can learn more about what's interesting to your viewer, maybe something that was engaging, or maybe it was something that was really humorous or funny and they wanted to watch again. You can learn from other content creators' content by going to their graphs and seeing where people are rewinding and replaying, and start picking up signals on what target audiences are really loving and what they're watching more than once. There is that people have said to me, well, maybe it's because they didn't understand and you talked too fast and they rewound it. Sometimes that can happen, but my experience is if it's a bad experience, people tend not to rewind en masse. They tend to bail. If they don't understand you, you're moving, they'll just click off. So this is usually something that people have found interesting or exciting or funny or clever or informative, and we can learn from our content in other people's content.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
just one of those little things that I think you need to be aware of, changes coming to the platform, new features that are out there that you can take advantage of, and things that you should think about if you haven't been paying attention to, that you might want to start paying attention to now. If you were going to give everyone out there, Roberto, one piece of advice, you just gave a monster piece of advice, one piece of actionable advice moving forward in this post-pandemic creator era, what would you say to people? What's something that's a nice chunk of a nugget of knowledge that maybe someone can take and use today when they're thinking about making their next piece of content?
Be more intentional about everything. I would say be more intentional about everything, because if you're not, planning to succeed, you're planning to fail. And that sounds really trite, and it sounds like, oh, there's just pulling out a useless, inane truism, whatever, blah, 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 soundbite, whatever. But no, I'm serious. So you have to be intentional about everything. You have to be intentional about your revenue streams, your business model. Oh, I'll just get views and then the money will come and everything like that. Nope. What are you going to do if in your niche, because of the, now it's not the pandemic, now it's supply chain issues, now it's inflation, now it's a recession, now it's labor shortages. So what if the ads get pulled because the companies that buy ads that against your channel, what if your ad revenue, I'm hearing creators already tell me their ad revenue is going down 30, 40% in some sectors, because the industries that buy ads for them are hurting right now. They don't have customers because people don't have money or whatever is happening. So like that is hurt. Okay, be intentional about, don't just sit there and think, oh, I'm okay because I have like affiliate revenue. What if the affiliate program changes? What if the affiliate program even goes away? I've seen that happen to people. Okay, so what happens then? Or what if you get kicked out of like Amazon affiliate? We know people that that's happened to. So don't rely on it. Like if you're a beauty YouTuber and you get kicked out of the Amazon affiliate program, it's devastating for your income.
Yeah.
If you're a tech YouTuber, oh my God, that's devastating for your income, right? So you have to look at those things, everything like that. Be intentional, diversify your income streams, and don't use anything, don't take anything for granted. Right. Be intentional. Say, hey, this could be subject to change. Look, what if the company you've been doing brand deals with, you've been delivering for them, it's like, what if their budgets get hit or get slashed, or they're like, okay, we don't have room for all of our people, like as far as influencers, we have to pick and choose. You might want to make sure that you're delivering for people so that you're not on the chopping block. Have an intentional strategy for that. Have an intentional strategy for not taking for granted, and say, you know what, maybe instead of just doing one-off brand deals, maybe I need to start looking at getting some long-term contracts so I have some runway, so I have a little bit more security, stability. So that's on the monetization piece. Be intentional about planning your videos. Be intentional about, look, we were super intentional about lighting, direction, camera angles, everything that we've produced to give you guys the best viewer experience possible. We're intentional about that. We're intentional about scheduling after Nick Niven so we don't cannibalize the audience, and also because we wanted to watch Nick stream.
Of course.
So we wanted to do that and support him. So we were thoughtful about our publishing schedule and our time. We were thoughtful about planning a lot of these things out. We had a plan for all of this. We planned what we wanted to talk to you about. We didn't just do it completely off the top of our dome. We wanted to make the best stream for you, pack the most value. We had a strategy for promoting it. You guys saw us both tweeting it. We were thoughtful about everything. So my big nugget is I want everyone to not just make random content or do things on the fly. I know people love spontaneity. Spontaneity is great. Do a YouTube story, do an Instagram story, do something like that. Do that, but be really intentional about what your game plan is and what you want to get out of this, because that will help you with expectations versus reality. I want you to start compartmentalizing your content and treat every content format, treat it with its own respect. Treat it like a unique, different type of situation and give it its own respect. Give shorts. Don't say, oh, it's shorts, I can make lazy content. Don't do that. Don't go, oh, live streaming, I can just go live and talk about wherever I make lazy content. Be thoughtful about your viewers and treat every viewer and every type of format and content vertical with its own respect. Put in the work, put in the effort. Don't just sit there and just, it's like we put in the effort to make a good thumbnail for live streams. We don't do, oh, here's just my live stream thumbnail anymore. We make individual, we treat it with the same respect as a VOD. We treat it with the same respect. So that's my big takeaway for people.
You know, and I'm going to add one little thing on top of that. All the things that Roberto's just said, don't be afraid of failure. One of the things I think happens is all of these things, you're like, well, Roberto just gave me a lot of things to try, but I've tried some of those and it didn't work for my channel. I wasn't able to get a lot of people watching. YouTube didn't like me. They didn't recommend my live streams when I went live or whatever that thing might be, or I made some shorts, they didn't go anywhere. Don't be afraid of failure. Failure doesn't mean that it won't work. It just means the way you did it and tried hasn't worked yet. You need to learn to analyze, adjust, and then get back out there and enact it again. Try it different. Don't lock yourself into a methodology that you say, I tried it, it didn't work. So that way you tried it.
Analyze, adjust, action.
There you go.
Analyze, adjust, action.
Try those three things, and I can tell you that your channel will find the growth that it needs if you can constantly stay tuned into your target audience, their needs, and start taking cues from them when you have content that connects. Listen, Roberto, I want to say thank you very much for being here with me.
Absolutely,
I want to say thank you very much to the TubeBuddy team for letting us be on their channel today. Hope you guys have a great day. We're going to enjoy the last day of VidCon here. We hope you enjoy the weekend that we're on, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you very much.
Stay awesome.